What's up, y'all? It's your boy JTMM, aka JustTenMoreMinutes, aka the Freakin 10, back again with another Sabaton, and this one, Screaming Eagles. Now, this one goes back to Coat of Arms from 2010. You know, we jumped to Heroes from 2014. I do jump around. Listening to these in kind of order, don't ask me why. It doesn't, it messes with me for some reason. I can't explain why. So jumping around, you know, title to title, it probably confuses the hell out of y'all. Just follow me on the journey as y'all have done. Not that I need to say that because y'all have followed me on the journey, but I feel bad sometimes of jumping around so much because it probably doesn't make a lot of sense, but it does to me. Now this one, you know, normally, as I've said in the videos, you know, as soon as I select a video, I'll search it, and then all of a sudden I get all the suggestions. I didn't see what this is about. So I hear Screaming Eagles. I'm thinking, you know, maybe a logo of some sort. I don't know. You know, Screaming Eagles, with the, you know, the Reich having the eagle. Is it them screaming? Don't know. So I'm very interested to see, and most likely I will be very intrigued to see the history. So with that being said, let's listen. Okay. Okay, so this one, it moves very quickly for how much they're going through. Because right there we went through, you know, 3 verses and 2 choruses. Because they open with the chorus, at least according to the page I'm reading. Crack of the lightning splitting the ground, thunder is sounding, artillery pounding. That one's a cool, I like that. Crack of the lightning splitting the ground, thunder is sounding, artillery pounding. So they do a mix. So this is 2010. Pardon me for looking at the credits real quick. Does it say... Okay, so both Per and Joachim wrote this. Okay. The reason I say that is because they did kind of an interesting rhyme scheme here, because they have ground, baston, or I guess it's baston. So really it's but it still is interesting. Crack of the lightning splitting the ground. Thunder is sounding, artillery pounding. Wrath of the Nazis cast on Bastogne, facing their forces alone. So really they went single line of sounding and pounding, and then Bastogne and alone. But also ground and pound. That, or that's, I mean, that's a ground and pound is you know, most recently recognized in UFC of, you know, the ground and pound, of just being relentless. But that's interesting. But then, okay, so this is paratroopers, I'm imagining, because the next one is sent from the skies, jumped into the unknown. The march to Berlin has begun. So this would be them closing in on Berlin then, my guess. Spearhead the charge, surrounded by foes, eagles are leading the way. France is still under enemy rule, push Axis retreat. Thrown towards Arnhem, a bitter defeat, they stretched out just one bridge too far. Turn of the tide, it's breaking away, losing momentum, retreat. Go to Bastogne, the crossroads must hold, stand alone in the cold. Crack of the lightning splitting the ground, thunder is sounding, artillery pounding. Wrath of the Nazis cast on Bastogne, facing their forces alone. That flows very well. Not just because of the rhyme scheme, but, you know, similar to what they did with To Hell and Back, where they kind of use those short lines with the rhyme scheme. It flows off the tongue really, really easily. This does as well, especially with the chorus. The story they're telling, like, thrown towards Arnhem, a bitter defeat, they stretched out just one bridge too far. The turn of the tide, it's breaking away, losing momentum, retreat. So now you change the rhyme scheme of your top line, right? Instead of doing the like what they did in the first one, they separate it. So you've got thrown towards Arnhem, a bitter defeat. Two lines in between, and then the rhyme of losing the momentum, retreat. But it works because of how quickly they move through those lines. I love when people do different songs like this. I really do, because it just adds a little bit of a complexity to it, but it makes it super fun if you really don't know what's coming next. A lot of people don't look for that, don't get me wrong, but as a lyricist, when I look at these, that's what I look for, is as they're writing it, what were they thinking when they wrote it to say, let's make this rhyme and this rhyme, right? So similar to when they did, you know, the artillery pounding line above, right, of the thunder is sounding, artillery pounding. That stuff fascinates me. Sorry. Let's keep going. Oh, I like that.
Chill of the winter, bite to the bone. Christmas is drawing near. Soldiers are freezing, the death toll increasing. They're dying in their holes. There's no surrender, there's no retreat. The Wehrmacht is drawing near. There's no reinforcements, and fighting all alone.
Boy, that'll lull you to sleep right there. Sorry, I'm still dealing with this cold. Okay, so what I'm visualizing is these were paratroopers. The only paratroopers I know are the 101st, so I don't know if that's who they're talking about. Assuming they were dropped outside for a race for Berlin, and now they're in the trenches with the Wehrmacht. And obviously we heard, as I'll read the lyrics in a second, you know, that the panzers also were involved. And they're basically offered to surrender, and they basically said, that's nuts. Yeah.
And it was about that time that JTMM knew he wanted to see the history.
I love that line. It just came into my head, and I was like, there's no better voice than some type of Morgan Freeman voice to say it. And it fits so well. Okay. Let me get back up here to the top. Dig your own foxholes or dig your own grave. The storm is about to begin. See, back then, they had a great way with words. Dig your own foxholes or dig your own grave. The storm is about to begin. The siege has begun. There's nowhere to run. Panzerkampfwagen emerge. So I'm just rereading it because really the only rhyme there is begun and run that they did. But it flows, even using a word like Panzerkampfwagen, right? It fits in the flow and the cadence in which he delivers it. Dig your own foxholes or dig your own grave. The storm is about to begin. The siege has begun. There's nowhere to run. Panzerkampfwagen emerge. Oh, I love that. Tanks and mortars are shaking the ground, prey of man and machine. And they delivered a lot slower in that sense, and it works really well. The emotion, and this is another thing I really love about Sabaton, is even back then, right, 2010, and even in their earlier stuff, if I'm thinking back to, I think it's 2008 was one of the other ones that I've reviewed, they always have this emotion that comes across, both in the music and in, you know, the drums. And of course, Joachim's voice is just powerful as hell. Crack of the lightning splitting the ground. Thunder is sounding, artillery pounding. Wrath of the Nazis cast on Bastogne, facing their forces of lone. Chill of the winter bite to the bone, and Christmas is drawing near. Soldiers are freezing, the death toll increasing. They're dying in their holes. Chill of the winter bite to the bone as Christmas is drawing near. Soldiers are freezing, the death toll increasing. They're dying in their holes. This is the beauty of songwriting, and I know I'm kind of getting off topic, but when you can go in, if I was to go in and say freezing, increasing, right? You can kind of hear a little bit of that rhyme, but the way that they do it in the song, you're like, oh, that makes perfect sense. It rhymes perfectly. There's no surrender. There's no retreat. The Wehrmacht is drawing near. There's no reinforcements. They're fighting all alone. Sent from the skies, ended up in Bastogne as easy, as hard as they get. Nazi command, request and demand. Offer, surrender, declined. Nuts. The general words echo clear. Nuts. The Nazis shall hear. And then they repeat that chorus twice. Apologize for the pausing with the coughing. What I like about this song is it paints a very vivid picture, right? I mean, just you get this clear picture of these paratroopers dropped in. There's no reinforcements, and they are in. They're told surrender. You know, there's tanks coming. They know that they're coming. The panzers emerge, and as they say, prey of, I think it was metal and men, or prey of man and machine. And yeah, no, ain't happening. This makes me want to see the history and what happens next. Again, this is what Sabaton does to me. They give you that little taste and they're like, come on, you want it, you want it, you want it. Boom, hook, line, and sinker. God, I love these guys. And I don't get tired of it. I'm not even mad about it, right? It's learning. I love to learn. Y'all have taught me so much just in the comments of not just pronunciations, right? Of the W being kind of a V, so Wagen, right? So I can say Panzerkampfwagen and not sound like a Texan of saying Panzerkampfwagen. Yeah. Texan joke. All right. That's going to do it for this one. You know the history is coming tomorrow. Cannot wait for this one. Until next time, y'all know who I am and what I'm about. I'm JTMM. Like, subscribe, and share. I'm out.